numbered 100, so thank you for at least 100 of you coming to this meeting. This is a really, really great turnout, and I'm so excited that all of you are really, really excited to get started with our hands-on projects. So we have a lot to go through today. This is basically going to be one of our most informative meetings. Typically, like I probably mentioned to a lot of you in person before, our speaker events are much more focused on being fun, bringing people in to talk about why AI, why technology, their leadership experience, all that. This meeting is a lot of like working through it, making sure that we cover everything so you don't have questions about hands-on projects, but there is also space for questions. As you see this merch up in front, it's a first come, first served basis with the merch. If you ask the first question, you get first dibs on what's up here. So without further ado, let's get started. So, like I mentioned at the previous event, the first thing that we normally go through is all the different announcements. So first is Late Night Launch Labs. This is a recent initiative started by Gateway Capital, where two venture capitalists are basically coming to MSOE every Tuesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. in Dirks Hall Atrium, to just talk to students about maybe what they're working on and overall giving advice about how you can be entrepreneurial. So making entrepreneurship accessible is their mission. For the next 3 weeks, they're going to be meeting in the Dirks Hall Atrium on Tuesday, 8 to 10 p.m., talking about these like more informal meetings, just asking you questions, helping you ideate, maybe come up with a business idea. But then starting in early October, so whatever 3 weeks, Tuesdays from now, they're actually going to be hosting a curriculum in Dirks Hall, again, 8 to 10 p.m., about how to start a business. Literally, week 1 is incorporation. They're going to bring in an attorney from Michael Best to incorporate you right there if you have an idea. And then all the way 7 weeks later, it'll be talking about pitching your product to venture capitalists and getting funding. So if any of you have interest in the startup space, this is a great way to do so, and that QR code on there gets you on the newsletter. Or if the QR code doesn't work, just feel free to come talk to me at the end of this event. Next up is a grad school event. For those of you in our teams, you likely saw Dr. Riley post about this, but the University of Southern California, I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, School of Engineering is coming to visit 6 to 7 p.m. Monday, September 23rd. They're basically just going to talk through, well, how do I go to grad school? Talking about what tests you need to take, mostly on the engineering side, not necessarily the science side, but it is really good info if you are interested in maybe getting a PhD later, or even a master's, just not at MSOE. And then next, the career fair. I encourage everyone here to go to the career fair. October 2nd and October 3rd, 3 to 7 p.m. in the Kern Center. It is a great way to network, build your interpersonal skills, and ultimately just put yourself out there. They love seeing that people are in org, so even just showing up to this meeting that you're wanting to get involved with hands-on projects. That's a great place to start, talking about how you might be joining one of our research groups, or even one of the hackathons we're talking about today. Or, at the very least, get a professional photo. They have a professional photographer there right before you even walk in. I have gone once to just get my photo and then turn right back around. So if you at least go, please at least get your picture. And then more announcements. Next up for AI Club, on October 3rd, we're going to be bringing in Jacob Fink, who is the founder of a financial institution that really focuses on artificial intelligence, talking about his space of going from tech and finance to leadership, as well as just talking about what careers out there exist. So maybe most of you here might be freshmen, learning about technology. You might see maybe 1 or 2 job titles that really fit what major you're going into. This is really one of those discussions that focuses on, well, there's actually a wide variety of fields that you can get into, and here's how you can do it. So that'll be October 3rd, again, same time, Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. And then the week right after that, we're going to be bringing in a hiring panel. So from Direct Supply, Kohl's, Milwaukee Tools, and Amazon Robotics, there's going to be a bunch of hiring managers and engineers talking to you about what it takes to be hired. So what's the most important info to put on my resume? What's the most important stuff to be doing in school? How do I network? How do I even talk during an interview? All those questions you should bring to that panel. And with that, let's get started with the AI Club and our hands-on projects. And again, just a disclaimer, this is a very information-filled meeting, so sorry in advance It's going to be just a lot of me talking through a lot of information, but there is space for questions throughout. If someone has a question, just raise your hand. Someone can come around and bring a microphone to you, or at the end, we do have a slide dedicated to when just everyone can ask questions. And then again, if you ask questions, you get rich. All right, so first off, with our hands-on projects, you've probably heard me say this before, why should I care? Why should I care about doing a hands-on project, even just in general? Not just with AI Club, why should I do a project on the side, away from the labs I'm already doing, the homework I'm already doing, maybe other clubs I'm a part of, all that eats up time. Why should I add another thing to my schedule? Well, it really comes down to these three things: your network, your portfolio, and your skill set. For network, I would say that networking is one of the most important skills that you will have throughout your entire career. And college is one of the first places where you can easily start a huge network. Literally going up to someone, maybe a vice president or even CEO of a company, and just saying, hey CEO, I'm interested in this field, and I'm a student interested in that. That immediately is much more easy of a person to talk with rather than just being like, oh yeah, I graduated a few years ago, I'm just kind of interested in this field. The student card is very powerful, and honestly, how we get a lot of the people to talk at AI Club. So learning how to network is incredibly important, and these hands-on learning environments give you a team of other students to work with who are also motivated, really interested in doing great work, and ultimately can start that network. Then next up is portfolio. So again, like if you work on these hands-on projects, it really adds to your resume. It's unique, it's impressive, beyond maybe what labs you might be doing in the classroom. It's really just a great way to differentiate yourself. And side projects are really what matters. During that hiring panel that I mentioned, I'm sure that one of the number one things they say that they look for on resumes is side projects. Are you passionate enough about this field to do stuff on the side? Are you excited enough about the work that you're doing to really just, in your free time, maybe use it to relax, or you just work with other people well in a team? And then third and finally, it's your skill set. And this is a fairly obvious one, so it's a great way to get ahead of your AI classes. For those of you in computing degrees, so computer science, software engineering, computer engineering, you really don't get to the AI courses until about your junior or senior year with a lot of your electives and mostly upper level electives. AI Club, we want to cut to the chase. If you want to learn about artificial intelligence, even in your freshman year, joining these hands-on groups is how you do it. And you ultimately gain really expert level understanding in a growing field. And to visualize this is just our whole learning philosophy, very simple. MSOE curriculum, nothing's wrong with it, just that it builds a foundation in a ton of different skill sets. AI Club focuses on pushing you to the top and kind of you tumbling your way down, trying to catch as much as possible. And then MSOE fills in those gaps as you work through the curriculum, but yet you still made it to the top in some specific field on a specific project. All right, so with that, now it goes to, well, okay, you got me convinced. How does it actually work? How do I join one of these things? So first, it all comes down to mentorship, the schedule, and being hands-on. For mentorship, again, like I mentioned, all our hands-on projects involve one mentor kind of leading the way, providing direction for the project. They've likely done work in the space before. We're not just throwing you in the deep end with other people who have done this before. It's someone who also wants to see you succeed and gain knowledge in this space. And then scheduling. So a lot of people have reached out to me saying, hey, this 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. time slot, really doesn't work with me. Maybe another club they want to go to is during this. Maybe they have athletics. Maybe they work a job during this time. Well, this is where the scheduling part of your groups come in. Because you're working directly with just a team of mentors and students, honestly, basically separate from these types of meetings, you just find a schedule that works with everyone. So if you're on a team of 5 people, you find when all 5 of you can meet for about an hour each week. And then finally, the hands-on component. So everything I'm going to talk about is not easy. So working through these hands-on projects, actually putting in the time, staying motivated with your team, and your team really is there to keep you accountable, but also keep you motivated. You're not going to be able to just fade into the background with these projects. This really is at at the forefront a way for you to get really, really far in your AI knowledge with a group of very motivated people. All right, so now done with those 3 bullet points, let's get into the specifics of what we do, which is research groups and innovation labs. Research groups are what we've ran in the past, very much focused on creating publications, and then ultimately has a larger time frame. Research groups are around 4 hours a week worth of work, whereas innovation labs are around 2 hours a week worth of work, where research is focused more on novel, so ultimately creating publication, whereas innovation labs are focused on the business application and therefore more focuses on the prize, the end of our hackathon, a letter of recommendation from the industry sponsor, and ultimately creating something for a customer rather than just creating cool technology like with the more research-heavy side. So an overview of these innovation labs is that you're just working together in a team to solve a problem. Even freshmen join. I very much encourage freshmen to join one of these hands-on projects. Freshmen are actually one of our largest number of participants in these groups. Might be biased because of how fast our org has been growing, but a lot of freshmen join these groups and find it extremely valuable to get a degree-relevant job even right out of freshman year. So I also want to mention that Innovation Labs is the first time that we're running it this year, where it has a bigger emphasis on having a lower technical floor, so ultimately working with a larger team, again, a smaller amount of time that you need to invest each week, and building an application that isn't necessarily novel, meaning has been done before, and more for a customer using maybe prepackaged technologies, and we actually give you a Jupyter notebook or code that already works that you can just improve on. And then ultimately at the end, there is a $5,000 worth of prize money split across the top 3 teams that participate, provided by our industry sponsor, which we'll get to in a second. So overall then, okay, what is a hackathon? Ben, you said these innovation labs are kind of hackathon-esque. Across 2 months worth of time, what even is a hackathon? A hackathon is just a marathon where you hack. So to start, you're given a theme for what you're going to overall build. So it could be the case of, oh, build a chatbot, or oh, build a classifier, or oh, build a stock predictor. Something usually more general, such that all the teams participating can add their unique spin to it, ultimately at the end providing a reason for maybe why they went that route, and a way to differentiate yourself from the other teams. And then during, like I mentioned, you just build a creative yet effective solution, ultimately still providing the goodness of the solution, yet still being creative enough where it's innovative, adds a lot of value in, of course, a limited amount of time, which is why it's this marathon concept. And then at the end, showcase your work, win prizes. So at the end, normally hackathons have a presentation where you talk through your experiences, what the tech was that you built, and ultimately talking directly to the customer, in this case the industry sponsor, about what you built, why it adds value, and why ultimately they should choose you for first place. So to really put this on a timeline here, so it's really simple to understand, what we're starting here at this meeting is the 0 months mark. So this is the interest form. At the end of this event, we're going to have a bunch of QR codes for you to sign up about what teams that you want to work on. It's going to ask you things like what your interests are in learning about AI. Is it more robotics focused, stock prediction, computer vision, generative AI, all those different spaces, as well as then asking questions, what skill set do you already bring to the table? Have you never touched a line of code in your life, which is completely okay? Or have you had maybe previous experience in high school with other side projects, maybe even working on different teams? Then from there, you get the problem, which is where I said when the industry sponsor comes in the first day of the hackathon and says, hey, this is what I want you to work on for the next 2 months. We'll then have a midway checkpoint where people can check in about what they're all working on, and then prize day, where you present what you've been working on, people get awards, letters of recommendation, everything. So, like I promised, there will be an interest form at the end of this, where you just scan a QR code to get to it, where you can sign up for what team you'd like to be on. We'll also link it to our team, so if any of you have friends outside or who are not able to make it to this meeting, it'll be all available on Teams. The sign-up will be available until September 30th for you all to decide what hands-on projects you'd like to be involved with. And then, like I mentioned, this form is really what's used to put you on a team, both to match what interests you have. So if you're maybe more interested in robotics, we're going to put you on a team with other robotics-based people. Or maybe, hey, I want to work with this specific group of friends. If they also say that they want to work with you on their form, we'll put you on the same team. Or hey, maybe I want to work with this specific mentor. All that is managed by the form so that we can put you on the right team, ultimately improving your chances of success. So then once we've created all those teams, we then bring in the sponsor. So this year, our sponsor is Brady Corp. And what Brady Corp is providing is, again, the $5,000 worth of prize pool money, as well as both food and merch for all of our different events. And then finally, the theme, like I mentioned, whatever the problem is that everyone's going to be tackling throughout the entire course of the Innovation Lab. And to kind of give a hint of what this theme is going to be, it's likely going to be something computer vision or generative AI related. So if you're reading this and being like, oh, well, I know nothing about those two fields. I've maybe used ChatGPT a few times, well, then that means I can't participate. That is not true. We actually encourage you to participate if you know nothing, and how you can do that is by going to our website. So if you haven't seen our website before, this is what it looks like. We have a library page with a ton of different learning resources, previous research groups, recordings of different events, and kind of them all there in a mess at the bottom. But something that we've added this year is the learning tree, which is really just a visualized way of what learning AI looks like. And these are not just resources that we've written ourselves. It's actually pooling resources that years worth of students have said, oh yeah, this is what I learned online. Or hey, this professor from this university gave this online tutorial. I'm going to put it here in this online format. So you just are able to look through the tree, go to the computer vision branch or the generative AI branch, and whatever mentor you end up teaming with for these different hands-on projects will be referring to the learning tree in order to provide learning resources. And again, just that more trailing curriculum of, oh, well, what should I learn first before I learn about this? Or is this even important to what I'm learning? Stuff like that. And then finally, before I open up to questions for a little bit, I again promised fast Rosie access for everyone here participating today. How you get fast Rosie access is going to the website, going to the learning tree, and we have an entire section dedicated to filling out how you are able to sign up for Rosie as a freshman. And then by the end of this event, if you scan our QR code for the attendance, we'll have your email sent directly to the system administrator, Dr. Reiter, to be approved next day. So as long as you follow that tutorial, sign up for the attendance form here, you'll be on a list for fast approval and following all those steps. And then finally, what I really want to say here is with the Innovation Labs, you might still be worried about, well, okay, I don't know too much about this field, the learning tree is great and all, but I'm not made of time. We'll still be providing each team some example code that already solves the problem, just in a simplistic way. So if any of you in the crowd have done, hackathon competitions before, or even there's an online platform called Kaggle, there's often solutions that other people have made before, but might not necessarily be the best solution that people have seen. We're going to be providing you a simple yet effective solution at both teaching you the problem space and still being confident enough that, okay, I at least have something that works to start moving forward, start iterating on it, etc. And then to really break down what the reward is for participating in this, third place is going to get $1,000 plus 3 AI Club points for their participation. Second place is $1,500 as well as 4 AI Club points. And then first place will get $2,500 from our sponsor, Brady Corp, as well as 5 AI Club points. And then to top it all off, we're also going to be providing every single team that participates in the Innovation Lab a letter of recommendation. The top 3 teams are each going to get a personalized recommendation letter, whereas all other people, so everyone in the competition, will get a LinkedIn certification, so a certificate saying that you completed this Innovation Lab, a letter of recommendation, and ultimately just a congratulations for a job well done and possibly an AI Club t-shirt. We're still working on the logistics of that. But there's a lot of rewards even for just participating. This is a great way to get started in a space in just 2 months, learning a ton about artificial intelligence. So with that, I just spoke a heck of a lot for like 25 minutes. What questions do people have?
To the winning teams, how will the money be dispersed?
Yeah, so that would be up to the winning teams if you want to just split it equally among members. However that works, we normally would suggest just splitting it equally among members. But if you have maybe someone that has not worked as much on it and they're okay with not splitting the reward like that, it's just up to each team.
Yeah. Do the innovation labs also have a mentor, or is that just researchers?
Innovation labs also have mentors. So the question was, are mentors both across innovation labs and research groups? Yes, all our hands-on projects have a mentor involved in the process to provide you direction as well as expertise in that area.
How do we access the website and the Teams channel if we're not already familiar with that?
Yeah, so for the Teams channel, if you do not have access to the Teams, please come talk with me at the end of this meeting and I'll just get you added at the end. If you're wondering where to get to the website, it's https://msoe-maic.com. So msoe-maic.com is where we host all these resources. I can even in our Teams just put a link to it, or even one of the e-board members in the back can do that while we're talking about it.
Do you guys have any hardware integration projects like AI and physical hardware?
Can you say that again?
Do you guys have any hardware integration projects?
Yeah, so if you're interested in the more hardware side of what learning about AI, maybe for edge computing, or even building a physical robot with AI in it, I'd recommend our research groups. So our research groups are very much that focus of whatever the mentor is interested in working on, that's the direction it goes. Innovation Lab is much more focused on the software side of it. Any other, yeah.
How big are the groups for innovation labs?
Yeah, so the innovation lab groups are going to be 8 to 12 people, including the mentor, whereas the research groups are 4 to 6 people.
So the skill tree thing on the website, does that need to be completed linearly, or can I jump around if I know certain things?
You can definitely jump around if you know certain things. So like I mentioned, those resources on there, it's not going to be like us typing, oh hey, remember this from this article? It's very much focused on like linking to external resources. So because we're students, that also means we're still getting, computer science degrees, software engineering degrees, computer engineering degrees. We just want to point to the resources that we know professionals have made and that a ton of students trust. We'll do 2 more questions.
Can you talk a little bit more about the letters of recommendations and things like that from the companies?
Yeah, so the letters of recommendation, it'll be personalized for the top 3 teams. So because Brady Corp really understands that this is more for a pilot group and everyone participating might not have done technology before, what they're going to be working on is building you that letter of recommendation, knowing who you are, what your interests are, very personalized. Oh, and yes, if you've asked a question, you can feel free to come up. Don't be shy. Any other questions? All right. Okay, thank you guys so much. Again, we will have more questions at the end, and I'm so sorry that this is like a very information lecture-based speaker event. We just have a lot to go through, and feel free to even like DM me directly with questions that you have. If you're not comfortable announcing them, directly into a microphone, but we're happy to answer any questions and get as many people involved. But with that, I'm going to let your ears rest a little bit, but from my voice, and actually hand it off to Brett Storoe, our Vice President of AI Club, to talk more about research groups. So give him a round of applause.
So I'm going to go through our research groups. A lot of the people that have been in this club from past years are very similar in styles. We introduced innovation labs this year, and we're going to keep research groups very similar. Where compared to innovation labs, their research groups are a lot more novel. We're working on publications, building a great project, and writing a research paper that we can compete at local competitions. And we're able to become part of a team with big, ambitious students. We compete at big competitions like Paulson competitions. We go for big prizes or regional AI conferences like MIPS. We build your teamwork skills in the professional setting and be able to compete at great competitions. We're able to get experience with reading, writing, and producing and documenting research papers that can ultimately get published and we can develop a final product. We're compared to Innovation Lab's 2-month project. These are over 6 months, going from about October to where the Rosa competition occurs in late April. And where a lot of our research groups come out with extremely impressive published research papers, and where this year we're actually introducing 4-credit research, where we're working with Dr. Yoder for 4-credit opportunities where you can take our classes and actually not only work on them with AI Club, but work on them as a 4-credit opportunity where you can sub out some of your technical electives for AI Club research groups. Where over the past year, we had 21 research groups over the course of 142 students, where we ultimately came out with 9 AI publications, where 2 of them were top 5 of mixed AI, were 2 top 5 mixed AI research, which was a regional AI conference, which MSU was very great at. We had 2 top 5 places, really impressive. And we had 15 completed groups last year, in which 2 of those were top 3 at Rosie in the past year, which once again is a nice influence in AI Club. And a bit of level of our commitment is what we've seen pretty standard for each research group year over year, where it sometimes go up and down per week, where right before Rosie competition, I've been putting a lot more work in compared to the first week. The students are expected to be there about 1 hour a week during our meetings and 2 to 3 outside meetings. We're mentors about 2 hours of work during the meetings and 2 hours of work outside the week. And this year there's no need for students to come up with their ideas. Where mentors are coming in with a predefined idea that's been approved by Dr. Yoder, where each student individually or as a team work on an independent study and get course credit. And like Ben mentioned earlier, these meetings do not occur during our general time, so you can figure out a time that works best for you and your team and your mentor as well. And similar to the timeline of the Innovation Labs, here's a layout for our research groups. Instead of 6 months, or instead of 2, of course it's 6. But we're on month 0, we're going to start just 1 later, and then we're going to have our first group meeting. You're going to get assigned to a group and have your first group meeting together as an assignment for specialty guys. And you're going to spend the course of a couple of months building a great project, writing an incredible paper, so hopefully get accepted and be able to present at mix. And then with a little bit more refinement after mix, you apply for the Rosa competition, now become a posters, or become one of the finalists, like some of our were in the previous year. And don't just hear from me, hear from some of our mentors from the past year. We're going to introduce Dylan Norquist, Lucas Rawl, and Ryan Croft, where they're going to talk about their experiences in AI Club this past year. So let's bring it around for Dylan Norquist starting first, who's a sophomore CS student.
Thank you, Brett.
So, as you guys heard, my name is Dylan Norquist. I'm a sophomore CS student. Currently with Direct Supply. If you look at the top right, you can see my cat. She's not very happy. I was in that about like 2 days ago by my mom, and I thought it would be important to add this to add a little bit more personality to me as a mentor, because my research doesn't really talk about who I am, but I gotta talk about it anyway. So firstly, I'll talk about some of my personal projects I've done in the past that makes me more confident to lead and also help you guys learn stuff. So some of the things that less apply to AI is I worked on a voxel ray tracing engine in Vulkan, a 3D game engine in DirectX 11. And I also worked on a machine learning library in C++ with no external libraries. And one of my weirdest achievements is I made a handwritten digit recognizer inside of Minecraft. Kind of a weird thing, but it was pretty fun. I'm going to be hosting an innovation lab and a research group this year. The innovation lab, I'm looking for anybody who's willing to learn, and I'll put a lot of time into helping you guys learn too. If you have specific visions that you're looking for, I'm happy to steer the project in that direction. Obviously, we have to, deal with the fact that it's a hackathon and there's a little bit less time, but I'll do my best to give you guys what you're looking for. I'm also hosting a research group, which will hopefully be forthright and independent study. I'm currently doing one this semester to help deal with some of the more boring stuff, like collecting data and figuring out how the model could work, but not really will work. That's something that we'll work together on in the next semester to come with that. If you guys have any questions, concerns, or are interested about the project, talk to me after. I'll be staying after it. Perfect. Yeah. And I'll pass it over to Lucas.
Yeah, so I'm Lucas Storoe. I'm a senior CS student. Can't believe I'm a senior already. I work at Direct Supply and I'm an AI Club Eagle member. So I would just like to walk you through a past research group I did for AI Club, and also shed light on an idea I have for this upcoming year's research group that I will be mentoring. So the past one was an LLM language model interaction project. And on the right, you can see an example of these language models talking to each other. So you have Jerome, who's a mighty bard who eats French fries, and you have Beau, a high-class Frenchman who does not know any French. And then you can see Beau telling Jerome about Italian food is inferior, but then Jerome just wants to talk about French fries. So other than a silly project, we also applied this to agents interacting with environments to solve problems. And other than the research itself, we actually published a novel paper at the Mix conference. And the students in this group, I'm sure they can attest to this, they learned a lot about language models, especially since we were running these models on Rosie, and I'm sure any of them are out there. Oh, like you guys, they're learning a lot in this group. And there's the stuff of the paper that we published. So that was the past, but going forward, my idea is using language models for human language learning. And rather than just throw a model at a human in a foreign language and say, pick up the language, that's not the best way to pick up a language, in fact. Instead, we would build restrictions around a language model to say, keep track of what words someone knows, maybe keep track of when to explain the concept of a foreign language to them. And overall, this is a very promising avenue for actually a new state-of-the-art of language learning. And this is something I'm going to explore in my next research group, hopefully with some of you guys. And now I will pass things off to Ryan.
Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm also a senior CS student, just like Lucas, and I've been here at Direct Supply doing data science for the past 2.5 years. Wow. For the AI Club, I was the previous head of research last year, and I'm also a 2-time research group mentor, as well as been part of 2 research groups doing actual work. So, some of my projects are up on screen here on the left. You'll see one of our problems was the science building here sucks. And as a freshman, if any of you had to interact with that building, I pity all of you. So one of our projects was trying to create a pathfinding algorithm that goes through building maps, specifically the science building. Didn't work very well. Science building sucks. One of the other projects was a video interpolation with vision transformers, basically just taking 2 frames of video and trying to generate them in the middle to make video smoothers. And then the last project, the one that we went to Mix for, was actually classifying rock climbing routes on the moon board.
I guess I take it from here. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, all mentors. Let's give them a round of applause. So yeah, that was just a small sample of a bunch of our different mentors. So seeing examples of people who have done mentorships before, talking a bit about what they might be doing in the future, and even a unique perspective of someone who hasn't mentored before, but has a lot of ideas going forward. And mind you, this is not our full set of mentors. There are a ton of super interested students in the background. We actually already have 20 people signed up to be mentors for these different groups. All we need is you guys to want to put in the work, get that mentorship, get some guidance, and ultimately become very, very powerful using AI. And with that, I open it up again for anyone in the audience to ask more questions. We'll have someone with a mic running around too. And then while he's walking over, also feel to ask the mentors question. Not just me, I'll just pass the mic over, or even at the end of the event, feel free to ask the mentors questions as well.
Are there going to be any events or such research projects that are going to be hosted during the summer or the winter breaks?
During the winter break, we normally have our research groups being hosted, so the timing of research groups is 6 months as opposed to 2 months of the innovation labs. So that's from this October all the way to April next year, which does go over winter break. So usually what happens during that time is if people are just still interested in doing work, you can do more data collection, more cleaning, but there's no expectation for people to work on the research projects over the break. Now, as for summer vacation, and if you want to continue on your project, that's ultimately a decision that you make with your team. So like with Lucas's project that he just mentioned, he was talking about large language models or like ChatGPTs talking to each other in different environments. His team decided, wow, that's a really cool project. Let's continue that on next year, doing a little bit of work over the summer to just keep that interesting problem going.
What's going to be the biggest difference with AI or research groups from this year to last year and people who like participated in that?
I'd say that for those of you who have seen our previous research groups, so again, the innovation labs are new this year, the research groups we ran for a few years before, which is why we had those numbers with them. Research groups in the past were usually expected to be like 2 or so hours a week, similar to the innovation lab groups. So if anything, the innovation labs are very similar to the old research groups, just not focused on the novel publication, whereas now the research groups are a little more rigorous so that we can have the smaller, more constricted teams, a mentor that's also doing development work alongside them, and like really pushing far with the novel idea. Any other questions?
Will there be opportunities for people to like take an innovation lab and then hop into a research group after that, or is it kind of like a one or the other situation?
I'd say it's much more one or the other. You could, if maybe you're friends with someone on a research team, or you know a mentor that you'd like to join their teams and they agree to it, I'd say absolutely these aren't like formal constrictions like you'd see in a class. But we do recommend that people choose one or the other, either an innovation lab or a research group to really just like focus in and hone in your skills. If you want to be both, just remember that that would be around 6 hours a week worth of time.
Yeah, so can any one of you explain the experience you had to your years in AI projects?
Could you say that again?
Yeah, so I was asking if you guys can you guys share the experience you guys have in your club?
Oh, just like us being in different research groups, you're saying? Yeah, so so my freshman year, that was the first year that research groups were actually ran. So it was around 3 different teams running for AI Club, again, kind of the first year. Again, this is back when AI Club was like 20 or so people in a room, focusing much more on papers, rigorous workshops. And the research that I did was on detecting cancer and what are called biopsies. So say like you take a syringe, stick it maybe in your thigh, pulls out like this noodle basically of muscle fiber, skin, all that. You turn them into like little pepperoni slices and then you look at that whole visualization. That was very medical focused. So then my sophomore year, I did another medical paper to basically take from a flat x-ray and make it a 3D image. And then I really wanted to pivot last year, so I actually worked with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN to do some like food price stock prediction, figuring out all the different global markets, where is price of food increasing most, and ultimately then where food scarcity might be. But I don't know if you guys want to share more about what you worked on, or if you're interested from what they said earlier.
Starting off,
But just hand me the mic and turn it off. So starting off in the research groups, I was in the same boat as Ben when we started off our freshman years. The AI research group were just starting out, and there was only 4 teams led by 2 people.
across the 4 teams. And my AI knowledge was absolute groundhog, absolute zero. So we started those as a great learning opportunity. My sophomore year, I learned enough through the research group, and I taught myself a lot over the summer. And I got to the point where I was mentoring a group my sophomore year. And that's when we went to mix, we wrote a paper, and then that just continued on to junior year, and then now here we are.
Yeah, I also joined my first research group in my freshman year, and I really have to say that was really a transformative experience because I went in just out of a slight curiosity. I didn't know about AI. I wasn't interested in it before, but coming out of that first research group, it really changed the career that I ultimately go into. And going forward, I mentor a research group, and really working with people who are interested in the same problem as you is something that I would very highly recommend.
I had a similar route to everybody else. I started last year, freshman year. I was in a research group. It was very interesting. We started the year with one project and shifted to another one midway through, where we started focusing on automated drones, essentially. Through that, we also had another side project that actually went on to compete in Rosie, and they got 4th place. It was a very interesting time. If it wasn't for that research group, I probably wouldn't have been, mentoring again. And with the help of AI Club and some more resources over the summer, I was able to get up to specs to help everybody else out and start one of these too.
Awesome. Does that answer a lot of your questions, would you say? Awesome, perfect. So yeah, like you see, there seems to be kind of a pattern here of freshmen joining the org. So again, do not be discouraged if you literally know nothing about the topic. I knew nothing about the topic going in. It was just a great mentorship provided by the teams.
For the innovation labs, how much time is required outside of the meetings?
I'd say about an hour. So that 2 hours a week, that includes 1 hour of actually going to a weekly meeting that, again, your mentor will set up for you. Make sure that it fits with everyone's schedule, either sometime after school, during school, or even on the weekend to make it fit. And an hour outside just to make sure progress is going.
Yeah. So can I know how you guys balance studies and doing group projects at the same time?
I guess, yeah, that's a really good another one to go down the chain. For me personally, what I do is just a lot of time boxing. I don't know if you guys have heard of that before, but your Outlook calendar, that invite I send to you, I just kind of time box what my day looks like. What I normally do is just for whatever AI Club research group I'm mentoring that year, I usually put it on the weekend, an hour focus time there. The day before, maybe I just open up 3 or 2 hours just in the evening to make sure that I have time to focus on it and just be prepared for the next meeting. So it really is just visualize what time that you're spending and recognize where you might have holes in your schedule to be productive.
I'm volunteer out of bed. I think it's just most of the time in the back of your head making a priority. Because oftentimes I've seen a lot of people with just not even research groups or other activities that they're doing is that they don't prioritize it and they just forget about it. So it's just keeping it prioritized and keeping it in front of your mind. If this is something you actually want to do and go from there, if it's not, then that's something you gotta talk about your mentor with, be honest with.
So something I'm surprised that Ben and Ryan didn't mention is that a lot of the stuff you do in research groups is actually stuff you would do in later classes. So maybe at the beginning you can manage your time, but once you get maybe halfway through your MSOE curriculum, a lot of the classes you'll just know a lot of the stuff that they're teaching you. So me and Ryan are in deep learning right now, and I think we both agree it's basically a free class because we learned everything doing research groups and other AI projects inspired by the AI project, right?
Yeah. On a similar note to that, the AI Club has also definitely helped me get ahead in my studies. They talked about that before, getting ahead in junior and senior level classes. But most of you who are CS majors are going to have AI tools your sophomore year. And I'm in that class currently right now, and it's completely free because I kind of know everything that's going on in there. It allows me to have more time on my schedule. The homework isn't really homework because I can do it in class. And there's other classes in the future that I'm also working with professors who are teaching it now so I can learn it ahead of time. Because, I kind of want to know it now instead of later. And that's also why I joined AI Club. It's things that help me learn essentially now. And that's, anyway, nothing to add.
And yeah, and that all really resonates with that learning philosophy, triangle I showed earlier. It really is shooting the top, very, very hard topics, focusing in on something and learning a ton about it. So then by the time you get to it in your MSOE class, it's oh, I already kind of know this. Maybe I missed a few holes here and there, like the formalities of learning it, but ultimately I really understand the concept and I've already seen this before. So it really helps out a lot with the later classes and, oh, I've maybe already seen this and I know it's deep.
Since those innovation labs are only 2 months, do you guys do another one in the spring or only the one a year?
Currently, because the innovation labs, this is a pilot project, we're kind of waiting to see how this first one goes. And also since it's reliant on an industry sponsorship itself, being able to like put up that $5,000, put up merch, put up food, we're just trying to find another industry sponsor before we promise something like that. But I absolutely do want to run one this spring. So for those of you who are asking questions like, well, if I run an innovation lab, that kind of shuts down my research group opportunity, I would encourage you to do an innovation lab to learn first about AI a little bit, learn first how to work in a team, and then there might be another opportunity in the spring to do it as well. Oh, and then also take that spring entrance, or even the one that you do here in the fall semester, and maybe enter it into the Rosie competition, because Dr. Riley wants to show a lot of these off. That's all I'll say. Any other questions? All right, we'll do 2 more maps, and then we'll hand it off to the QR code so you guys can actually sign up, and then also the attendance QR code. And then again, feel free to ask questions. Unless there are no more. Is that all, Brett? Anyone upstairs want to ask a question? Anyone? All right, awesome. So with that, again, here's the overview of the research groups and the innovation labs. And for finally giving you the opportunity to sign up, here are all the different QR codes for you to sign up for these groups. On the left being the research group sign up, meaning that you want to be mentored in a research group setting. Again, that is more advanced, the 4 hours a week. In the middle being the innovation lab, so you want to be menteed in an innovation lab or mentored too. And then on the right is actually, if you've heard all this and you want to get leadership experience and become a part of our mentorship network, that right QR code is for being a mentor for one of these innovation labs. Again, if you're a sophomore or higher, we highly recommend signing up to be an Innovation Labs mentor to build that leadership experience to potentially lead a research group the following years and build up both your leadership skills, teamwork, prioritization of tasks, and ultimately still learning a ton about development. So I'll leave this up for a few minutes, but also a disclaimer. For these forms that you're filling out, filling out your skill levels and different things, what your interests are, we do reserve a bit of the right to kind of move you around depending on what your skill levels are or where you think you best fit. So for example, if for the research groups, we only have 10 mentors dedicated to research groups, but we think you might be more successful in the innovation labs, we might move you to the innovation labs or vice versa. Of course, checking in with you first to make sure that you like that decision and that you're still willing to participate. So I'll leave this up for a few more minutes, letting people fill everything out, scan the forms that they'd like to have, and then really the last slide is going to be the attendance form, where again, if you fill out that attendance form, we'll get you Rosie access super quick. So I'll just leave this up here for a few minutes.
Is that what I thought it is?
We will also be putting both this presentation itself as well as the links to these different forums in our teams, again, for even if people weren't able to join us in person today, they'll be able to get all this information. All right, I think I see the number of phones going up decreasing. So with that, here is the last slide, the attendance form today for you to get your AI Club point, use it to buy some merch, and then ultimately be used to get Rosie access fast. Thank you everyone for coming. It's been really, really great to meet you all. And again, all the mentors, myself and the e-board in the back, are all open to answering questions if you have any. Thank you. And then with that, we'll also, like I talked about at the first meeting, we'll have a networking hour, 1 hour after each meeting. So again, just if you want to ask questions, even completely irrelevant to AI Club, we'll be sticking around. Thank you.
What?